In this video, we're going to turn a Notebook LM notebook and Gemini gem to an app to create customizable whiteboard animated videos. Assuming that you have content inside of your Notebook LM notebook, and this content is a series, you can use all of this source content to turn it into content for your course. To do that, we're going to go to gemini.google.com. We're then going to go to our sidebar and we're going to click on Explore Gems. You will then see Super Gems at the top. If you scroll down, you will then see a gem manager. Start by clicking on New Gem. You can then give your gem a name. This gem will be for your personal use, so you can give the gem a description. You can get Gemini to write the prompt for you. We're asking Gemini to write the instructions, and so we're going to tell Gemini that we're only going to be using the sources in the notebook. We're going to specify each time the sources that are going to be used, and the gem should produce a video script of the same length every single time. And then in every interaction, we're going to give the gem a different industry or niche to use the content. That's a good idea if you have not used your pro quota. You're going to go ahead and use it here in this area. Finally, we're going to tell Gemini that we need the content to cut and paste in for the instructions. We're now going to click Submit. We're going to wait for Gemini to give us the instructions. Now, if you use the Pro version, this is going to take a little longer than if you use the fast version. So Gemini is now going to give us the cut and paste. We're going to copy the code. We're going to head over to the other tab and paste it into our Gemini gem. We're now going to paste in our Gemini gem. We're not going to use a specific default tool in this case. What we're going to do is we're going to now attach the notebook that we're going to use. So now what we're going to do is we're going to now attach the notebook. We're going to click on Notebook LM. We're going to attach the notebook. We're then going to click Add. We're now going to save this element of our gem. Our gem has now been saved. We can now click on Start Chat to begin using the gem. Inside of our notebook, we're going to decide which sources we're going to use. So in this case, for the sake of example, we're going to use source 1, source 6, and source 7. We're going to ask Gemini to use those specific sources. So in this case, we're going to ask for the gem to use these specific sources and to teach fitness trainers how to market their business. We're going to make sure to use the Pro level. We are then going to click Enter. So the gem is now going to write our script. We're now going to go into the Tools area. We're going to click on Create Images. And now you can designate the kind of infographic you're going to want to create from this information. There could be more detail in our prompt, but we're going to give it a very simple prompt. As always, you should add details according to your specifications. We're going to make sure to use our Pro level. We're then going to click Submit. What we want to have happen now is for Nano Banana Pro to be loading and to start creating the image. You should then see an image that's going to be specific to the 3 sources that you chose from your Notebook LM notebook. We're now going to download the image. What we can now do is we can now go to our script. We can now share our script to Google Docs. And our script is now ready. We can then select all and copy our script. We can now take our script. We can go inside of the ElevenLabs studio. We can create a new blank project. Of course, at this stage, you are free to narrate the script if you'd rather narrate it, or you can use an AI in order to narrate the script. This is not a full-blown tutorial on ElevenLabs. We're just going to use a voice clone in order to narrate the script. We're going to stop the video at this point, and we're going to continue on from the completion of the creation of the script. ElevenLabs is now complete. After one regeneration, we're now going to download the audio. To standardize the sound, we're going to go to Adobe Podcast, Enhance Speech. We're now going to upload our file here to Adobe Podcast. Adobe Podcast will then begin to reprocess the audio and to give the audio a better sound. Adobe Podcast is complete. We can now download our reprocessed audio. We're now going to standardize the infographic image. We're going to use PowerPoint to do this. We're going to go to the Insert command. We're going to go to the photo album. We're going to click on New Photo Album. We're going to click on File Disk. We're now going to grab our infographic image. We're going to click Insert. We're then going to choose the picture layout. one picture. We're then going to choose the theme. We're going to choose a plain white theme. And to do that, we're just going to choose the office theme. We're going to click select. We can then delete the title slide. When we click on top of this image, you'll typically see a design suggestion that'll match the color. We want to take that one. What we will typically do in some cases is we'll use this, but it does not necessarily give us a margin, which we do want for this case. So we're going to click the back button. We're going to leave the margin the way it is. And we're now going to save this as a PowerPoint presentation first. We're then going to save this PowerPoint as a PNG. We only have one slide, but we would typically say all slides when we're asked. And our slide is now saved. The fastest and most efficient way in order to animate the image, we're going to upload the PNG to speedpaint.co. And when we upload to speedpaint.co, we want to make sure to use the standardized PNG that we just created and not the original download that we picked up from Gemini. Typically, you want to stretch out the duration. You're then going to want to choose a hand style. If you want to choose specific options, you can do that. We can go with text at the end, and we can then animate the process. We're going to stop the video here, and we're going to pick it up from the completion of the generation of the Speedpaint video. The download is now ready. We can now download the MP4 video. Now that we have our video, we can now stitch it together inside of an AI video editor. We're going to use Pictory AI. In Pictory, we're going to use text to video. We're going to paste in the script that we generated in Gemini. In Pictory, we're not going to use the B-roll. We're not going to allow Pictory to select the visuals. We already generated the visuals ourselves with Speedpaint and Nano Banana. We're now going to click Generate. We are now going to select No Template. Inside of Pictory, we're now going to stitch all of the scenes together. Our scenes are now stitched. We're going to give the video a specific style. In the audio section, we're going to turn off the music. We're going to go to the upload section. We're going to upload our enhanced audio from Adobe Podcast. And our file is now uploaded. We can now go to the visual section. We can now go to the uploads. We're now going to upload our MP4 video and our standardized image. We're now going to add in our MP4. It's going to start the process. What we now need to do is we now need to see where this video is going to end. We won't really know that until we go to the audio section and we go to the uploads. And then we apply this audio. Now the audio is 3 minutes and 16 seconds. It may vary slightly as to how long the video turns out to be. What we're going to do now is we're going to sync the voiceover to the entire video. Once the syncing is complete, the video will then preview. And what we need to do during the preview is we need to determine when the MP4 is going to end because we don't want the video to start over. Inside of Pictory, we notice then that in scene 37, the MP4 starts over. So what we want to do is before that scene, we want to unlink all of our scenes here in scene 36. So before the preview is finished, we're going to close out. We're going to go back to the story. We're then going to go to scene 36. When we get to scene 36, we're going to unlink the scenes. What we're then going to do is we're then going to go to scene 37. And now we need to input a new visual. That's where we standardize our visual. We're going to place in our visual. So now our visual is in place. Inside of Pictory, what we're going to do is we're going to disable the motion effects, apply that to the entire video. We're going to disable the zoom, apply that to the entire video. And so now what we need to do is we need to re-preview the video. So now when the animated portion ends, the still is going to pick up in this video. So we now need to preview the video. And we're not going to preview the entire video, but you would go through this process. So what we've done now in the edit is that when, instead of the hand animation starting over, we now have our standardized image now in its place, and it's going to continue to the end of the video. If we wanted to improve the video, we could very easily do a second MP4 animation and run it here in this section. We can come back to our video creation app. We can now ask for a second image based on the same content from the middle to the end. So we're going to come back to our video creation app and we're going to state that we'd like a second image now to turn the middle of the content into another hand-drawn 16:9 sketch note, and that it's going to appear in the same videos. We want it to be similar without being the same. We're going to leave on the Pro version. We're going to click Submit. We've now got a second image. We can now download that image. We're going to run the same standardization process inside of PowerPoint, and we're now going to save the image as a PNG file. We're now going to run that second image here inside of Speedpaint. We can now animate the second image. We can now download the second video in P4. So we're going to upload that second video as well as the still image. We're now going to go to the point at which the transition happens. We'll click on slide 37. We'll click on the transition slide. And what we're now going to do is we're going to replace that visual with another video. And our video is now complete. We can now download the video. And in order to run it, we can run the video in the background while we do something else. So what we have done is we have used our NotebookLM notebook to create a reusable app that we can direct to any industry that we want over and over again. Okay, so thanks, and I will see you in another video.